Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Namaduhu Nasali ala Rasuli al-Kareem. Viewers, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has promised paradise, heaven, Jannah to those who pray 5 times a day as shown by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This 5-time prayer is the key to Jannah, to paradise. And anyone can do that. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given a very simple system that anyone can achieve success. You see, if the human being was not born, then he would not get an opportunity to go to Jannah. Sometimes people ask, when Allah knew that most people will not obey Him, why did He create this human being? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put into place a system that in order to go to Jannah, you have to pass the test. So this life is a bridge to paradise, to heaven, to Jannah. If people did not come into this world, they would not go to that place of ultimate bliss, ultimate happiness. So this is again a blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that He created paradise for the human being. But He decreed, He decided that this is only for those people who will make the effort, who will obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala without seeing Him. If people could see Allah, there would not be a single disbeliever on the face of this earth. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given example of that in this life. When a teacher gives exam to the students are not shown the answers. They have to take the exam without seeing the answers. They are given instructions, they're given a textbook, they're given lectures, they're given all the facilities to pass the test. But there is an element that they are tested, they're sifted. If the teacher had a rule that everyone, regardless of what they do, will get A+, everybody would pass without doing anything, nobody would call that a fair system, a just system. So we know from this life that in order to get good things of this life, there is a struggle. People who work hard, people who make the effort, are treated differently from those who do not. So Allah has given examples in this life to people to understand that to go to Jannah, to go to the place of ultimate bliss, you have to pass the test. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has laid down the criteria. He has not left it open to guesswork. And He has not made a system that instead of the person taking the test, somebody else takes the test and gets success. So everybody is tested individually. Everybody has to pass the test in order to get to that prize, in order to get that success. And the system that somebody came and died for the sins of humanity, this is again a man-made concoction. This is a fiction. This has nothing to do with reality. This is a deception of the shaitan, that someone has died. It's like somebody took a test from me and I passed the test. That nobody would believe that theory. And if that was true, that would be considered cheating. Instead of me taking the test, somebody else took the test and I passed the test. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given examples in this life there where we know that we have to go through a certain system. So to go to Jannah, opportunity is available to everybody. And as said before, if people didn't come into this life, they would not have the opportunity to go to Jannah. And that creation that doesn't have the test, like the trees, the sun, the moon, the stars, the earth, they don't get that opportunity to go to Jannah because they're not being tested. The human being is the only creature who has the potential to pass the test. But having said that, it is a necessary requirement. He has to go through this. If Allah decided to put everybody into Jannah without test, that would not be considered a fair. It would not be considered fair. Allah could give everybody paradise and make this life into paradise, but He does not make that into paradise. A lot of people, many times, a lot of bad people enjoy this life, and a lot of good people suffer. Because this life is not Jannah, this life is not heaven or not hell. This is a place of test. Allah could have made this into paradise and could have put all people into paradise without any test. But Allah has told in His books that He will test them and He will sift. In this life, a lot of times people get rewards without any effort. There are many people who are born with a silver spoon in their mouth and they die in great luxury without being put to hardship, without any effort on their part. And that is again a test from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's not that they did something good, but Jannah is a merit system. Paradise, heaven, is a pure merit system. There is no way a person can inherit, like in this world, in this life, people can inherit wealth. Rich people can leave a lot of riches for their children who enjoy the wealth without having made the effort. Kings and their descendants enjoy power and luxuries without having made the struggle. But in Jannah, there is no such thing where a person is going to inherit it because of his parents or because of his ancestors. So Allah Ta'ala is the most just. And when people ask these questions, why this and why that, they don't ask these questions when it comes to matters of dunya. They don't ask teachers, why are you giving a test? Why don't you pass everybody? Why do we have to go through this? And no teacher will consider it even worthy of giving an answer because they're there to be tested. The system is to sift the good from the bad. And that starts right from the very beginning. When the child starts going to school, the testing process starts. So it's surprising that a lot of intelligent people ask these questions. Why are we being tested? Why Allah is not giving us all the things in this life? Why there's heaven and why there's hell? And all these questions which don't really serve any purpose. You see, it's just a question. Student keeps asking the teachers why this and why that. And another student just does what the teacher tells him to do, to read the book, to study the material, to take the test and get the success. That student is going to be successful. Whereas a student who keeps asking questions, he's going to be wasting his time. So Allah Ta'ala has given us a very simple system. 5 times prayer, daily prayers, guarantees success. There was a Christian priest who became a Muslim, and he was asked about the time when he was a priest, and he said, when I was a priest, I converted 5 Muslims to Christianity. And he said all of them had one thing in common. All of them were not praying 5 times a day. So prayer is like a fortress against the shaitan. It's a protection. When a person prays, the shaitan is afraid of him. But when he stops doing that, then he's fair game for shaitan, for the devil. And he misleads him. So the ulama say that in order to protect the fard, the mandatory prayer, one should do the optional prayers, the sunnah. And one should guard that. And to protect the sunnah, one should do the nawafil, the extra prayers. So once one is covered. It's like protection, a greater protection. And the ulama say once people stop doing the optional prayers, then the sunnah is in danger. And when the sunnah is left, then the fard, the mandatory prayers are in danger. And when the mandatory prayers are left, then the iman, the faith, is in danger. And then a person, it's a slippery slope. Then it's a matter of time before he goes out of the fold of Islam. And the only way to enter Jannah is through Islam. Islam is the passport to paradise. And this is not just for the Ummah of Rasulullah, the passport for all the people in the past. All the people who came before Rasulullah would be tested according to the teachings of the Prophet of that time. That was the Islam of that time. So Islam is not a new religion that started 1400 years ago. It has always been there, and it will always be there. And all the other man-made religions are diversions, are deviations from Islam. Whatever name you want to call it, they are all made by human beings according to their thinking, according to their desires. Whoever came and started his own philosophy, started teaching people that, and a lot of people fell into that trap. Like the belief that God came down in a form of a human being and died for the sins. Now, God does not die. God has always been alive and always will be. A God that doesn't die is not worthy of worship. A God that dies is not worthy of worship. This is a quality of a divine being, that he's always been there and always will be there. He has no beginning, no end. And this is against a man-made thought, man-made philosophy, that God came in a form of a human being. That God does not come in a form of a human being. God knows everything. God is aware of every creation. He is aware of what's visible to us and what's not visible to us. God does not have to become that to know what it's like to be like that. And God is not not weak that somebody can kill him or that he cannot save himself. God is the one who gives death. He's the one who gives life. How can God die? And to say that he died for the sins, that again doesn't make any kind of sense. Because people are able to wash away their sins. This is what Islam teaches. If a person commits a sin, he seeks forgiveness from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He seeks forgiveness from God, and God forgives him. He's Ghafur Rahim, which means he forgives again and again. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it is said, would have not have created the human being if he didn't sin, because he knows he's going to sin. But Allah likes that he seeks forgiveness. And if the sins of a human being were as high as the sky, and he sought forgiveness from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he would forgive his sins. It is said that anybody, even if he's 100 years old and he's been sinning all his life, and he has committed all the major sins, but before he dies, he turns to Allah and seeks forgiveness. Allah turns all his bad deeds into good deeds, and he enters Jannah. And if a person is still not able to enter Jannah, he has no one to blame except his own self. So if a person recites La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah with sincerity, and is truly repentant, even if he is 100 years old, but he has realized that he has been on the wrong path, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgives them. There's a story about somebody, an old man came to Ibrahim al-Islam. He was eating, and he asked him, why don't you offer me food? So Ibrahim al-Islam said, yes, you can come and join me. So he started eating, but he did not take the name of Allah, because before Eating, a Muslim says Bismillah Rahman Rahim. Or before doing anything, he takes the name of Allah. So he started eating, and Ibrahim alayhi salam said, "You did not say Bismillah Rahman Rahim." He said, "I don't know Allah. I don't believe in Allah." He said, "Okay, then you can get up and leave." So when he left, Ibrahim alayhi salam got a revelation of Allah. "O Ibrahim, this man has been disobedient to me, and I have been feeding him for 70 years. And he asked you for food one time and you refused?" So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala admonished Ibrahim alayhi salam. So he went after him and he said, "Please forgive me, please join me." So he said, "Why?" And he told him this story. So he said, if Allah is so forgiving, then he accepted Islam. He became a Muslim. So all this is to show that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not keep grudges against people. His door is open for everybody, no matter how sinful he is or she is. And if people don't turn to him, then they have nobody to blame. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves his creation, but he wants his creation to come to him willingly, voluntarily, not being forced. That's why he sends prophets. He didn't send prophets to build roads and bridges and skyscrapers. He sent prophets to bring people back to him, back to the Creator, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has kept a place of enjoyment. And that place is enjoyment for eternity. And Allah wants everybody to get that. But there is a way, there is a system. Allah has not said it's free. Allah has not said paradise, heaven, Jannah is free. You have to work for it. And He created this life to teach us that principle, that in order to get something from life, you have to work for it. People work so hard to get little pleasures, and they think that they can get pleasures of paradise just by saying, "I believe." Just by saying, "I believe" is not enough. And Allah says that in the Quran. Do you think you'll go to paradise by saying, "I believe"? Birds are cheap. Talk is cheap. Talk has to be backed by action. And action, the first action that's necessary is the 5-time daily prayer. And of course, after the 5-time daily prayer, one has to obey the other commandments of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And those commandments are for the benefits of the human being. Allah doesn't benefit. If nobody believes in Allah and nobody obeys Allah, Allah is still the mightiest. He's still the greatest. It does not diminish His kingdom. It doesn't diminish His power. It doesn't diminish His treasures. And if everybody starts believing and worshipping and obeying, it doesn't increase His might. It doesn't increase His greatness. He's still the all-powerful. All these orders that Allah has given are for the benefit of humanity. If science came and told us today that this disobedience, this eating pork causes that cancer, and drinking wine causes this cancer, and showing your bodies being naked causes this kind of cancer, and all these diseases that are there because of disobedience to Allah, then everybody will start believing the scientists. But Allah has not given that knowledge to people because Allah wants to test their faith. Allah wants to test their iman. If scientists came and told us that disobedience of Allah will bring us viruses and bacteria and diseases and cancers and all kinds of problems, then everybody starts doing that. Just like these days, everybody is wearing a mask. Everybody is maintaining social distancing because they have so much faith in science that whatever scientists say, it's right. But if Allah said that, you see, nobody would believe that. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants people to believe in Him without the help of anything. Believe in the unseen, believe in Allah. Allah can be seen only through His signs. So all these orders that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given to the human being are for the benefit of the human being. And this is something that people have to understand. They have to put their minds to this. Otherwise, they'll go on suffering. And of course, the greatest suffering is in the life after death. So we ask Allah to forgive our sins, to keep us on the right track. Wa akhir dawana and alhamdulillah rabbil alameen.